Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lenz and you're watching Get Germanized, questions the world has for Germany.
I am bored. What should I do?
Ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
So, another glorious BuzzFeed article with a lot of interesting questions that people apparently have asked Germans. And today we're going to go through some of them and I'll see if I can't answer them or can answer them. We shall see. And the first one is, why do Germans need to invent words for everything? Like, for example, the fat that you gain or the weight that you gain when you are in grief. Because you're sad, you just eat and eat and eat, right? And Germans have a word for that. It's Kummerspeck, which means basically grief fat or grief bacon. And I don't know, I guess it has to do with the fact that Germans like to be precise and specific. We like to pinpoint exactly what we're talking about. We don't like not being able to express ourselves 100%, to be vague about stuff. That's also, I guess, why we don't like beating around the bush or chit chat in general, at least not as much as other cultures. We are used to just saying what we want to say because our language is so complex, so detailed. It allows us to do these things. So if you can, why not do it? I suppose that's how we see it most of the time. And I agree, it's nice to be able to invent words like Waldeinsamkeit is like, I don't know, Waldeinsamkeit is the feeling you get in a big forest. Like you feel lonely a little bit, feel alone, but it's a nice feeling that you can have while you're out in nature. Waldeinsamkeit means forest loneliness. There are just so many words like this. I made videos in the past about these words and it's just beautiful sometimes and sometimes very silly. For example, I don't know, there's other examples that people were like, what? Why would you need a word for that? I suppose, for example, it's difficult to think of one right off the top of my head, but let's see. For example, there's the word Geizhals, which is describing someone that doesn't like to spend a lot of money, that likes to save money, right? And we invented a word for that to pinpoint it, so that we can describe to others better what we mean. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that don't like to spend money on unnecessary things, but a particular person or type of person that puts or that goes with it to the max or a little bit overboard, and that's the word Geizhals, or that's what that word is for. So not having that would make us not being able to pinpoint exactly or to explain precisely what that person is all about. So I understand why that would be confusing to some people or would seem a little bit odd, but at the same time, we need it. We're just used to being able to express ourselves in that matter, and so we do it. Next up, why are German words so long? Or actually it said, like, while being on the subject, why are German words so long? Well, that has to do with German having compound words. For example, Baumhaus is made up of the words Baum, tree, and house, right? So basically that means that you can puzzle words together endlessly almost. That's why German has such long words, because it just doesn't really matter how long a word is as long as you can pinpoint a certain meaning with that word. There's like this video even about Rhabarber, Barbaras, Barbarenbar or something like that. Or Barbier, I don't even know the exact word, but there is a video like that out there that just plays around with this concept of German just having these ridiculously long words. And I think it's fun. I believe it is super confusing for someone learning that language, but at the same time, that's what makes it fun and so interesting, right? Because this aspect of the German language, I don't know if it exists in many other societies and other linguistic constructs like in other languages. I'm not sure, probably does, I'm just not aware, but it's just fun, to me at least, and I guess to other people as well. That's why German is still popular these days, not only among Germans. Next up, why do German proverbs make no sense? Seriously, I love these questions. It's so much fun to talk about this. German proverbs, like sayings, right? I think I spider. Ich glaub, ich spinne. In this case, because I even made a mistake explaining this in the past, it doesn't refer to the spider, the animal. I think I spider. That literal translation could be. But it actually refers to the process of spinning. Not actually sure why they would use that as an example for being crazy. Because ich glaub, ich spinne is if you can't you use it if you cannot believe something, right? If you're of the opinion that it is just ridiculous what you're seeing there or what you're experiencing there. Sorry, I have to put on sunglasses here because it's just super bright. Oh, there's a squirrel on the street. Seriously, I haven't seen a squirrel in Germany in so long because they're so shy. That is so cute. But yeah, anyway, we have different ones. For example, den Teufel nicht an die Wand malen. To not draw the devil on the wall is basically don't say something because it might happen then. For example, oh, I hope he doesn't die during the skiing trip. Oh, don't draw the devil on the wall, you know. I'm not sure, they all have origins, I'm 100% sure, but I'm actually not certain why they are so strange at times. Because there are a lot of strange ones out there, right? Maybe it's just the way how culture and language in Germany have developed over the years. There must be a reason, and maybe you guys can help us out in the comments. That would be highly appreciated, because it is quite strange sometimes. Other weird sayings in German are, for example, let's see, to make an elephant out of a mosquito. Aus einer Mücke einen Elefanten machen, to over-exaggerate, to make a mountain out of a molehill, basically. You have the same thing, just with mountains and molehills. And I guess Germans just took that saying or that concept and made it into an animal-related thing. Or maybe it just developed on its own, which is also very possible. It's just a different culture, so that's why it seems at times, I suppose, weird. Oh wow, this sun is so bright, I cannot see anything when it's like directly shining on my sunglasses, like now. Holy crap, this is dangerous. Damn. Next up, why do Germans have such weird insults? It's all language related, and I understand the German language is quite, or can be quite strange or interesting to people, I'm aware. For example, they had this word Arschgeige as an example word here. It's a German insult. It means ass violin. I've mentioned this in a former video of mine. And yeah, it's pretty damn weird, I agree. Ass violin. I would love to have like a definite answer for you, but it also has to do with the fact that German is a compound language, like I said. And you can't just make any word up you want. And I guess you just maybe sometimes make up funny insults that are not supposed to really hurt. But some of those words have even been made up by German poets and artists that are famous around the world. I mean, I'm not sure about this Arschgeige example here, if that is also something a German poet made up. But I can imagine that this might be bullshit, like I said, but that back in the day, violinists, if someone wanted to insult someone who played a violin, like a musician, and like a violinist is called a Geiger, right? And so to call someone an Arschgeige, maybe they wanted to say, hey, you can put that violin up your ass, you know, or something like that. Maybe that's where that originated from. I'm pretty sure that could be true, but the exact origin. It could just be anything, really. It doesn't mean that there's always a distinct thing that started. It could just be a trendsetter that like one person said it and other people picked it up, and then it became something instead of just being, I don't know, something a council has made up or something like that. That's not always the case. People sat around the table and said, okay, so now this Arschgeige word is being introduced into the German language. What do you think about that? Isn't that a great word? Let's all vote. That's probably not how most things came into being in the German language, because of how easy it is to just make up German words, right? Oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure if you saw that on the left side there, but that was a craftsman, a Handwerker, like a handyman. They wear this certain outfit at some point in their apprenticeship, and basically what they do is they travel around and they go from company to company, learning different skills at the different companies, and it's just part of their training, I suppose, to learn at different places. And so they hitchhike with big backpacks and wearing these these black hats and these black vests and these white shirts underneath. It's really interesting, actually. I'm not sure if you saw it before, but yeah. Anyway, that's a thing in Germany as well. Last time we saw hitchhikers, which are really random as well, and this time handyman. Interesting. Next question: why does thanks mean no? Well, I don't think this is necessarily true. It depends highly or massively on the context as well. It doesn't always mean no. You can use it in when the context is right as no. For example, but you usually would add nein in front of it. For example, if someone asks you, do you want another drink? And then you would say, nein, danke, no thanks. But I guess you could just say, danke. But it really depends on your intonation then, and on the context, and on the expression that you make, and probably also a gesture that goes along with it, like a hand movement. And just saying danke would be super confusing to Germans as well. So I highly doubt that that is really a thing that people do, where you just say danke and everyone would know, oh, okay, he doesn't want anything anymore, or he's not interested in continuing what we're doing right now. oh, danke. I don't know. It's just silly. Next up, why do German toilets have little shelves in them? I know toilets like that. I am aware of what you're talking about here. But I also think it's a bit weird that some toilets in Germany do have these little shelves. I am not aware of who started it, or who thought that was a great idea, or what made that happen. Because, I mean, who wants to inspect what they have done afterwards? And sometimes when toilets don't have enough water pressure, you don't even get rid of it all efficiently. And it's just not a pleasant thing. I don't know, and the stench and... yeah, I don't know why people invented that. It does exist in Germany, but I thought it's a common thing in other countries as well. Or not common, but like that it's a thing, at least in other countries sometimes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't think it was exclusively German. But again, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, that's a funny thing to think about, definitely. Next up, what do you have against tap water? And I talked about this in my last video, actually, even. It was just a slightly different question, I believe. Germans don't have anything against tap water. For some reason, it is not seen as the thing you offer people when you want to drink something. It's mostly used for washing, for, I don't know, doing the dishes, stuff like that. I drink it, and it's safe in Germany to drink it as well, so I really don't understand why some people are so against drinking it. A friend of mine, actually, I won't name his or her name, but he or she thinks that drinking tap water makes them more thirsty. And they said that it's not only me, some other people have told me it's the same thing with them. I'm not sure if mouths or like bodies in general get conditioned to only accept sparkling water if you drink it for all your life. But that must be complete nonsense, right? That drinking tap water makes you more thirsty. Maybe that's because of certain things that are in tap water that are not in sparkling water. I'm not actually aware. I mean, minerals. Some minerals are maybe in sparkling water that are not in tap water, or maybe that's just a myth. I'm actually no expert on this, so I wouldn't really know. But that must be a myth, or that it must just be a thing in those people's heads that is not really correct. Or is it? I would really like to have an answer to this, to be able to tell my friend, well, you're wrong. This is not right. Or, hey, you're actually correct. Tap water does make you more thirsty. For whatever reason. But again, yeah, Germans don't really drink tap water or offer it to people. Maybe it's seen as more fancy or nicer to offer someone water that costs more and that has something extra that is not normal in a sense. Not sure. Maybe it's just a marketing stunt that companies developed or introduced to Germans to make more money off of them, because of course it would be more expensive than tap water. And I'm actually willing to believe that that is the reason, because why else, right? I mean, companies always want to make a lot of money, so that might be very possible actually. This is such a tiny road and a tiny stop sign, right? It's like a super rural area here, and just the chances that the car was coming from left to right is so minimal. But as you've seen, if I had just gone, I might have crashed into a car, because it is possible that there are cars after all. You have to be very careful in these rural areas because of how desolate sometimes it seems, or quiet and calm, but there's still traffic here. There's still people going about their business, just as a little side note while driving here. And next up, what is your problem with fresh air? And I find this very amusing because I know what they're referring to. Germans often say that a draft, may it be in the car or in their house, makes them sick, makes them get a cold, and so they close the windows and don't really air out their apartments for a long period of time. I mean, they do it obviously, but not for a very long time. So I get where that is coming from to a degree, but definitely it's something that I'm not sure if this is an actual road actually, but I think it is. I'm not sure. Not sure why they do it. This is a tiny road. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted by this road because it's so tiny. It might just lead. Yeah, okay. This is not an actual road. Oops. This is just a farmhouse. Great. So another interesting thing, not all roads lead to other roads. Some just lead to houses. Look at this massive road. Like, it's not massive, but it's pretty long, and it doesn't seem as if this was a dead end. I'm not sure if I just overlooked the sign, but anyway, it's off topic, I suppose. Well, there is like a scientific fact, I suppose, that if your body temperature drops, right, then you are more vulnerable to illness. Then you're more likely to get sick. And I guess that makes people think, oh, if you drive with an open window and there's draft all the time, then I get sick, please close the window. Or the same thing with inside the house. And that may be actually a valid point, but the draft itself, of course, does make you sick. And so it's a bit misleading maybe that to say that Germans are worried about drafts that makes them sick. They're more worried about like being cold and then being more vulnerable to illness. That's why we also bundle up really well in winter or even in autumn. We try to be as best prepared as we can for bad weather so that we don't get sick. Because if you're out and about with like thousands of people or hundreds of people in a city, whatever, then you're exposed to so much more possible sickness, I suppose, because of all the viruses and bacteria that are just everywhere when you're around people, right? The reason that people get sick the most is probably due to the fact that there is a lot of illness everywhere, because people touch lampposts, or they touch like door handles, or just buttons in subways and stuff like that. And so if you touch your face after that, or like anything like your nasal cavity or your mouth, then you're very prone to letting these bacteria and these viruses in. And while that is not a problem necessarily when you're healthy and strong, have a strong immune system, it's definitely a concern for those people who don't have that, who might be elderly or just generally a bit more at risk to become sick, maybe a cancer patient or something like that. I don't know, this is over exaggerating, obviously. Oh look, they have goats on the right there, that's cute. But yeah, so that might be an explanation to why Germans don't air out their apartments that often. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. I think I'm gonna make a second part, so definitely check out that, and also check out some more videos that you can see around my face at some point here, probably at the end of this video. And yeah, thanks for sticking around, and apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.